just a chorus of precious memories. How they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold. Let's sing that together. Precious memories, how they linger, how they ever flood my soul. In the stillness of the midnight, precious sacred scenes unfold.
I grew up in Winchester, out on the farm, and of course, my mother died when I was 8 because our family was split up. My two sisters, well, let's see, my oldest sister, she stayed with my mother's mother, which is my grandmother. My baby sister stayed with my auntie. The next girl stayed with a friend of ours because we didn't get to see her too often. And that was Ruth. My oldest sister, Dorothy, and Ruth, Beatrice. Me and my brother, Earl Lee, we stayed with my father's mother. They were in Winchester. I went to school in Louisville, but they didn't have the kind of school that I had to go to where they had something like a, sight-saving class.
Yes.
And they didn't have none in Winchester. I was 8 when I started school. Stayed 9 months there. And then went home in the summertime in June. I started in the first grade, but I didn't start until I was 8 years old. Went to the 12th grade. And then, of course, then I come out of school and when I went back home and stayed a while, back to Winchester. I went back to Louisville then because the family had begun to split up. My brother, he done went to Chicago. When first he left, run off and went to Cincinnati. And then from Cincinnati, went on to Chicago. We didn't see him for the longest. And that was Earl. My oldest sister, she went to Dayton. She married to Dayton. My baby sister, she moved to Hamilton, Ohio. She married and lived there. And I've got the other sister, Ruth. That's the one a friend of ours raised.
I'm Ruth Clemens. I'm a Thomas. This is my daughter, Amy Clemens Smith, and my grandson, her son, Alex Smith.
I was born in Winchester, Kentucky. As I understood it, I was born in town, but we lived out in the country. And I was born to Asher and Mary Lena Thomas. And I was the youngest of that set of children. My father was Asher Thomas. He was married previously, and his wife had died, and he had left a son named A.W. Thomas. That's our oldest brother. And then he had married my mother, and there were 5 of us. And then my mother died when I was about 2 years old. So I was not raised in Winchester. I was raised in Cincinnati by one of my father's brothers. Oscar and Ethel Thomas raised me in Cincinnati as their daughter, but I always stayed in touch with my father. They always made sure every summer that I would come back and spend 2 or 3 weeks with my father and my grandmother, Flora. And I had my father married again after my mother passed. Sometime later, he married a lady named Fillmore Thomas, and they had 4 children. So there's about 10 of us all together, I believe, that my father had, but it was with 3 different wives. So I was raised in Cincinnati by an aunt and uncle who raised me. They didn't have any children, so they raised me as their daughter. And I went to school in Cincinnati. I went through grade school and through high school, and then I went to UC and took a 2-year course at UC, the University of Cincinnati. And then after that, I went to work in Cincinnati for the Kroger Company, where I worked until I got married. I got married in 1955 to Robert Carter from Hamilton, Ohio. And so I moved to Hamilton, Ohio. And I've been there ever since, except for the last 8 years. I moved from Hamilton after my husband passed. I moved to Fairfield, Ohio, where I live now. So it's been a long journey.
Well, where was your father at?
He was there in Winchester. Of course, after we left, he got sick, and me and Minnie, he stayed with us about in Louisville, and he died there in Louisville.
Asher was he was an extremely neat person. He was always busy, and in fact, Joe was a lot like our father because he was always busy too, and very neat. Joe was very conscious, even though he was blind. He always was clean. He always wore his suits and his shirts and his clothes. He was always dressed, and he was a whole lot like our father was, you know. And I'm kind of like that. I'm very neat and organized kind of person. So I think I kind of take some of those traits from them.
What did your mother die of?
Cancer. She had cancer. Cancer runs in our family. My father did too. My father died with cancer.
Do you remember anything about it?
But no, just except he was just a farmer, and he worked. That's all he ever did. Farm work, raised tobacco.
Did he look like you?
I don't even remember how he looked. I don't even know how I look.
Now, what was your problem with your eyesight?
Cataract.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And they couldn't fix it?
Well, they did. They operated when I was a baby. When I went to school, when I was about 8 or 9, when I first went to Louisville to go to school, they operated then. But see, they didn't have the facilities, things like they do now.
Yes.
And the doctor said then, he told my father then, he said his eyes will never get any worse. Any better. He said, but they're not going to get no worse. And it's been like that.
Was it hard for you growing up?
No. I never, Sister Melissa, I never did pay any attention to it. I just took life as it was,
What was that blind school like? I bet it had to be neat.
It was, as I said, a lot of them went there, couldn't see it all. Some of them, had partial sight,
Did you have a favorite teacher?
Well, they just had 2 teachers. See, one teacher, she taught from the 1st grade up until the 6th. The other teacher, she took from the 6th to the 12th.
So it was like a one-room classroom, all age groups in one room?
No, we had 2 different classrooms. The smaller children, we was on the 3rd floor, and the larger children, they was on the 2nd floor. That was from the 6th to 12. Of course, we had the dormitory there, and we ate, stayed there all the year. Went home in the summertime.
Did you have a favorite food there, or a friend there, or anything that you remember?
Oh yeah, we had a boy named Garrett Floyd. He was a friend. Me and him was a good friend. He was from Mexico.
Again, a small town.
Right, and then a boy named Clifford. He was from Georgia. Well, he moved to Kentucky, then he came there, and we was all good friends.
Did they play piano or learn any talents like
Some
you?
of them did, yeah. Yeah, we had one boy that was professional. Came out to be a professional piano player. Now, I didn't like music.
You did?
No.
Oh, no. That seems strange.
I hated music.
Why?
Because I just didn't like it. And see, that was one of the subjects that, that we had to take. But I didn't like it at all. My teacher, and our music teacher, when she retired, of all the good students she had, she came and got me to take a picture with her.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, it wasn't beautiful to me. They said I look so mean.
Rojo,
I don't know.
why?
Because I didn't want to be on no picture with her. She told me one day, she said, I know you don't like music, do you? I said, no, ma'am, I don't like music. And I don't like you. I told her,
Where's that picture, Rojo?
I don't know.
Is that school still open?
No, they done closed it down now. They put,
Where was it at, Rojo?
it was in Louisville,
Where? What street?
up on Haldeman Avenue. They done tore it down. And I don't know what they've got up in there, but white and black now go together.
Yes.
When I was going, we stayed, the high school was out on Frankfurt Avenue. And we was back on Haldeman right behind.
No, it wasn't as heavy, Jim Crow. I went to an all-black school, though. Elementary school was all-black, Douglas Elementary School in Cincinnati. And then in the 7th grade, you had to take a test to go to Walnut Hills High School, and that was integrated. That was black and white, but it was mostly white. There was a few black people because you had to take a test and pass it in order to be able to go to Walnut Hills. And so I did that. So I went through all my schooling in Cincinnati, including college, yes. Not really that much because we stayed with my father and grandmother, and we had family down here, and we would visit them, the Murrays, and played around, and it really didn't bother me that much, as far as segregation goes at that time. It wasn't that bad. I mean, yeah, we did have to ride the buses and things, in Cincinnati, go to the back of the bus or something like that. But it wasn't as bad as it was down south. It was a little more, not quite as bad up here.
What was that next to?
It was just, really wasn't hardly nothing around. It was all that belonged to the school, the white and black. It was almost all together.
What is that in Harlem Road?
It's up in, you go up you're going to St. Matthew's.
Yes.
And it's before you get to St. Matthew's. It was called the Kentucky School for the Blind, for the sight seeing.
That's amazing. So what year did you graduate out of there? Did they have a regular graduation?
Yeah, we had graduation. Been so long and I forgot what year.
And how did you end up playing music like you do now if you didn't like music?
When I got out of school, I couldn't play it all.
I can't believe that.
I didn't like it. I wouldn't practice.
Oh no, Rojo.
Wouldn't practice at all. And after I got out of school, I come from Winchester down here to Louisville, and it was a lady I used to stay with some people. And this lady used to play with a church, for a church. And I just started kind of picking up. And I just mostly learned it on my own. Because I couldn't hardly play. I couldn't do nothing. I just knew scales and a couple of little songs when I left school.
So Lord, really?
Yeah, I just took it up.
So when did you start loving music?
I mean, after I got out of school and kind of took it up. And then this lady used to play for this church, and I started picking up, and I got to be her assistant. But she wasn't there. I played for the church, and I started liking it then. Then I just took up organ by myself. I didn't.
Well, how did you start playing for the church?
They just, because when she would, when she wouldn't be there, of course, then I would play for the choir and things.
Well, how did you meet Sister Minnie? Can I ask you something? When you met Sister Minnie, would you have ever thought you all would have 12 children?
No, no indeed. Me and Minnie was talking about that today. I don't even know. One thing, I don't know how I met Minnie. I was had an apartment, and Minnie used to fix food and used to bring that to me.
She could cook then.
Yeah, she could cook. I was working at a place called the Eagle Club because I couldn't. It was some kind of a club, and I was a porter, and that's where we met.
Wow.
I never did that. When we first married, and you talking about something, we first married, we had one spoon. That's all. Many would eat, then I ate.
Yes, sir. Where does all that good hair come from?
From where? I don't know.
Because I was told your father was Indian and white.
My
Grandfather?
my grandfather, he was, well, my grandmother, she was Asian. My grandfather, he was a white man.
I thought so.
Mm-hmm.
I thought so. What was his name?
His name was, what was his name? Will Murray. And that was my mother's father. He was white.
Really?
And my grandmother, Murray, Nana Murray, she was part Indian. She could sit on her hair. She was.
Do you remember them?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did she look like?
I used to go and stay with her sometimes. That was my mother's mother.
And that was your mother's mother, your mother that passed away.
That was her mother.
And her dad.
And
That was your mother's mother, your mother's parents, right?
Yeah.
Her mother and father.
Right.
That you lived with.
No, now that was my mother's mother. Now my father's mother was named Flora Thomas. That's the one that I stayed with, me and Earl.
She was a little wiry woman, but she was a real go-getter. I mean, you know, she washed and cleaned and cooked and did for. She took care of all of us after our mother passed. So, you know, she was always there taking care of us, doing the washing, the ironing, the cleaning, the cooking, and she never complained. She was just a go-getter type of person, not a complainer at all, you know. And she and my father got along well. My father would go out. They used to tease my father because he swept off the pipe, you know, where cars went. But he was just that kind of a clean person, you know. And I remember her very well. She was very quiet in a lot of ways, but she was kind of a strict person. You know, she didn't take a lot of foolishness from us kids. So we had to mind her and everything. But she was good. She was a nice person.
I'm Clark Gay. I'm son of Beatrice and Alice Gay. Okay, I'm Clark Gay. I was born in 1943, July the 5th. I graduated from Clark County High School. After high school, I went to Cincinnati to go to school. I went to school in Cincinnati. I left there in '65 and went into the Army. I went to Germany in the Army. I was a finance clerk for 39th Finance. I paid the first of the 26th every month. In '67, I came back to Cincinnati and went to work for McAlpin's department store. And I worked there until I retired. I live in Cincinnati. I had my mother with me for 9 years at her demise. She died at the age of 91. I really miss her. And I just turned 80, so I'm enjoying myself. When I arrived in Germany, the warrant officer saw that I had accounting, and he said, "You see the guy over in the corner? His name was Steve Provincial from Spokane, Washington." He says, "I want you to work with him and take his position." He was a finance clerk for first of the 26th. So I spent my 2 years there. I can say after school, I was working with the McAlpins when I was in school, and that was when affirmative action was, big, and I feel that's why I was hired at that time and was given all the benefits, that they gave me, which was, I appreciate, but I took full advantage of it. My father was Alice Gay and Beatrice Mary Gay. My father loved his bourbon and his Camel cigarettes. My mother, I couldn't have asked for more of a sweetheart. She was a total sweetheart. Once she called me and said, "Why don't you come home?" And I says, "Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that." And she says, "I'll make you a butterscotch pie." I says, "I'm on the way." So that was a fun memory of her.
Is there anything you want to say on that tape?
Well, none that, I mean, it's the only thing I can say is that I thank God for being, letting me be with good saved people that love the Lord. I do. I thank God for that. That He has blessed me to be with. Again, I've got good saved children, and as I said, a good saved daughter-in-law. I don't think of you as no daughter-in-law though, but you seem more like a daughter to me. I tell many all the time, I said, don't think about Sister Melissa, she won't let me do nothing. She cut up my food, she do everything but feed it to me. that's sweet. And even the grandchildren, and bless his little
How
heart.
many grandchildren do you all have?
About 30 something.
My name is Asher Brown, born and raised in Gallatin, Tennessee. When I was young, I had a brain tumor. I went in at 2, I believe. The doctor had done some procedures to get it out, and the brain tumor had started occurring again when I was around 4. So I had to go back to the hospital, and after that, all the surgeries, I had to go back and forth to get procedures done. So my early life as a child, I really didn't have a childhood as far as playing a lot like other kids. And just growing up, it hasn't been difficult, but it has been like different from other people. Like people ask me all the time, like, what's the scar on your head and stuff like that. I just explained, like, I just had a brain tumor, and growing up through school wasn't hard. Like it really didn't. Thanks to God, the brain tumor really didn't affect me in any kind of way. So growing up was really normal. And all through high school, I did well with my grades and stuff. Right now, as a graduated senior, I'm still trying to focus on what college I should go to, where I should go. And as of right now, if college isn't the route, I'm looking for a job as of right now. But if I do go to college, then I'll go. When I was growing up, I really never thought about it that much because I was young, so I never really like, oh, I had a brain tumor, I can't do these things, I can't, because nobody ever really sat me down and told me like, you might want to like take it easy on what you do, the physical activities you try, because you had a brain tumor, it might be hard for you to do certain things. When I was growing up though, playing football, I didn't start off playing contact. I always had to play flag for about 2 to 3 years until I finally got cleared to play physical football. And when I played physical football, it was like it wasn't no difficulties first starting out. I did hit really hard, but it didn't really affect me in any type of way. Granny Joe growing up, I remember going to his house a lot. I used to get piano lessons at his house. I used to go over there, I think it was like every Thursday maybe. My mom would drop me off and I would stay over there with Granddad, and we'd just be on the piano. And Grandmother Minnie, before she had passed, she used to live with us. So before she had passed, I got a lot of memories with Granny and before she had left us.
I was born at Mary's House Hospital, Mount Sterling, Kentucky. And I moved to Winchester before I was 1 year old. And I lived here on Harris Creek all my life. Been here 83 years. And I was a farmer and an electronic technician. I have 5 children and a bunch of grandchildren right now. I was a farmer and an electronic technician all my life. Right now I'm retired and not doing too much of anything. I raised tobacco and corn, garden. We used to raise all our vegetables, greens and green beans and corn. We used to raise all that we ate. We raised it right here on the farm. And we used to put it in 10-gallon crocks and put paraffin on top of it and put it in quart jars and gallon jars. We had all the food during the winter. We didn't go to Kroger's and buy like we do today. We had all we went to Kroger's to buy was sugar and coffee. We had everything else we needed here on the farm. Well, there wasn't no money. We couldn't make no money hollering farming. So I decided to go to a vocational school. That's why I say, like the young people today, they need to take up a trade. They can take up mechanics, carpenter, plumbing. You need some kind of trade to support yourself. Because you just don't have no skill of any kind. You have to go out and work for common labor or get you a factory job. You live whatever the amount of income. Most people, you live whatever your income is. The better your income, the better you live. 1941, I believe, when I moved here to Howard's Creek. That was during the war, World War II. Well, I didn't realize it was a war because I was too young to realize. My mother and father did, but me, I was just a child, in the 40s, playing, and, my father always had us working, doing things on the farm, cutting tobacco, hauling hay, things like that. But I didn't have no experience with World War II. I wasn't in the war. I was too young, and I almost went to the Korean War, but I changed my mind on that. I went to school instead. I went to electronics school, Lafayette Vocational Electronics School, during the Korean War. And I had the applications that I need to fill out for the Air Force, but I never did fill it out and send it back in. I was 1A at that time, and I give up on the service. I figured that wasn't the best thing for me to go to the service.
Well, my name is Alfonso Edward Nichols IV. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky on May 27th, 2001. I was born via C-section because I was born 13 weeks early. And so it was, bless my mom, it was really hard for her. From as far as how I got here, I spent most of my life growing up in Louisville. I'd been there for 21 years, and I kind of come to these family reunions as just a way to kind of gather and meet my mom's side of the family. I don't really get to see my dad's side of the family too much. A lot of them have either passed away or it's really hard to keep it all together, which is just, that's how it is with black families sometimes, because when slavery ends and they say, all right, go have fun, shoo-shoo, you can't really keep it all cohesive because people are just doing what they can to get by. So this is probably the strongest familial connection I have as far as let's see everybody on this side of the family goes.